There is a passage etched into the first page of the Codex Arbites, the commandments of justice. It is not a legal principle, it is a statement of absolute, terrifying fact. It reads, "We determine the guilty, we decide the punishment." A simple declaration, the foundational creed of the Adeptus Arbites, the black-clad enforcers of the Lex Imperialis. An elegant and brutal piece of prose that promises a galaxy of perfect, unyielding order. But I have walked the sump levels of Baranguntua and breathed the putrid atmosphere of a Necromundan underhive, an air recycled a million times. I have seen the lawless oblivion that festers in the foundations of the Imperium, where the only law is the blade and the only justice is survival. In a galaxy of 100,000 worlds, the vast majority of humanity lives and dies without ever seeing the sun, let alone the face of true Imperial Law. For them, the Arbites are a myth, a fireside tale to frighten children, a distant, terrifying rumor of faceless judges and their unforgiving sentences. And yet they are real. On every world that matters, in every system vital to the great machine, their fortress precincts rise like iron castles from the squalor, inspiring fear and paranoia in equal measure. From within those black walls, the arbitrators keep their vigil, their loyalty sworn not to any governor or general, but only to the cold, dead letter of a legal code 10 millennia old. They are judge, jury, and executioner, wielding shock maul and combat shotgun in the Emperor's name. But who are they? What is the reality behind the terrifying myth? This report will go beyond the battlefield communications and the propagandist pictorials. We will strip away the carapace armor to examine the soul within. We will follow the patrol path of a single anonymous arbitrator to understand the lived grimdark of their existence, a life of monastic isolation and brutal necessity. We will seek to answer a fundamental question. In a system where mercy is a weakness and failure is a crime punishable by death, what is the psychological price of being the living embodiment of the Emperor's unforgiving law? Every institution within the Imperium is a master of its own narrative. The Adeptus Arbites is no exception. They do not speak of fear, only of order. They do not acknowledge brutality, only the necessity of zeal. The following is a public proclamation, a standard Vox broadcast intended to be played in the public squares of a newly compliant Imperial world. It is designated Thought for the Day, the Shield of the Law.
Citizens of the Imperium, rejoice, for you live in the glorious light of the Emperor's law, the Lex Imperialis. You live in an age of order, secured by the tireless vigil of his most dedicated servants. Look to the spires of your cities, and you will see their fortresses. Listen to the Vox, and you will hear their edicts. Know that while you sleep, they watch. While you work, they protect. They are the thin black line between the golden light of civilization and the howling abyss of anarchy. They are the Adeptus Arbites. Who are these selfless guardians? They are the inheritors of a sacred duty established 10,000 years ago by the divine will of the Emperor himself. In the shadow of the Golden Throne, the High Lords of Terror, the Supreme Council of the Imperium, issue the edicts that bind our million worlds together. The Arbites are the sword arm of that council. Their Grand Provost Marshal sits amongst the High Lords, a testament to their sacred and vital role. They are the living embodiment of the Great Book of Judgment, their every action guided by its millennia of accumulated wisdom. Their jurisdiction is absolute. They are concerned not with the petty squabbles of planetary governors or the minor infractions of local enforcers. Their mandate is the security of the Imperium itself. Sedition, heresy, insurrection, Xenos trafficking, the violation of the Imperial tithe. These are the cancers that threaten the soul of mankind. And the Arbites are the surgeon's blade, excising the rot without hesitation or remorse. Where do such paragons of virtue originate? They are not born, but forged. Recruited from the orphans of the Schola Progenium, these individuals are selected for their unbreakable will and their unwavering devotion to the Imperial Creed. From a young age, they are taught that the law is not a set of rules, but a holy state of being. They are subjected to the harshest training regimes imaginable, their bodies hardened into weapons, their minds honed into instruments of pure, cold logic. They study the sacred texts of the Lex Imperialis until every precedent and every punishment is etched upon their souls. They are taught to purge all emotion, all pity, all doubt. For the law is impartial, and so too must be its enforcers. Upon their ascension to the rank of Arbitrator, they renounce all personal ties. Their fortress precinct is their only home. The Arbites is their only family. Their life becomes a monastic cycle of prayer, training, and patrol. They seek no wealth, no fame, no comfort. Their only reward is the knowledge that they are preserving the dream of a united humanity. See their mighty precinct fortresses. On nearly every world of the Imperium, these bastions of order stand as a constant, visible reminder of the price of sedition. They are self-sufficient, impregnable, housing everything from armories and scriptoriums to dungeons and execution chambers. From these unassailable positions, the arbitrators launch their patrols, moving amongst the populace like black-clad angels of justice. They are equipped with the finest war gear the Adeptus Terra can provide. Carapace armor that can turn a stub around, shock mauls that can pacify the most violent recidivist, and the iconic Arbites combat shotgun, a weapon whose righteous roar is the final sound many a heretic will ever hear. Should a world's local governance fall to corruption, or should its own enforcers prove incapable of stemming the tide of anarchy, the Arbites are empowered to act. An Arbites judge, an iron-willed lord of justice, whose authority is second only to that of a holy inquisitor, may declare martial law, assuming full control of a planet's security forces. In such times, they become a veritable army, their ranks swelling with patrol arbitrators, elite shock troops, and even their own specialized vehicle corps. Let the traitor and the mutant beware, for the Arbites have the means and the will to pacify an entire world if the law demands it. Do not mistake their harshness for cruelty. Every action an arbitrator takes is for the preservation of the imperial peace. The swift execution of a single seditionist prevents a rebellion that would cost 1,000,000 lives. The brutal suppression of a riot prevents a societal collapse that would lead to generations of suffering. Their justice is hard, for the galaxy is a hard and unforgiving place. They are the shield that protects you from the horrors of the void. They are the wall that holds back the tide of chaos. They are the silent, watchful guardians of your very soul. So, citizen, when you see the black armor and the impassive visor of an Adeptus Arbites patrol, do not feel fear. Feel gratitude. Offer a prayer of thanks for their sacrifice, for their unyielding vigilance. They have given up their lives so that you may live yours in the Emperor's light. Trust in the law. The law protects.
A comforting fiction, a story of selfless paladins and righteous fury, designed to reassure the masses that the mailed fist that rules their lives is guided by a noble purpose. It is a narrative of absolute certainty, of perfect order imposed upon a chaotic galaxy. But it is a story told from a great sterile distance. It never speaks of the filth of the underhive, the stink of fear, or the maddening percussive rhythm of a shock maul striking flesh and bone. The official record is always written in clean black ink. The reality is always written in blood.
The chronometer sounds. Cycle begins. Time 0400. Standard. My eyes open. The ceiling is gray plasteel. stained with the faint residue of recycled air. Same as yesterday, same as the 3,652 cycles before it. My quarters are a cube, poured ferrocrete, 5 meters by 5 meters by 5 meters, a sleeping slab, a sanitation unit, a nutrient dispenser. There is no adornment. There are no personal effects. Such things are extraneous to function. They are a vulnerability. I rise. The floor is cold under my bare feet, a calculated cold, designed to shock the body into full wakefulness. Temperature, 12 degrees Celsius, standard. Air quality, 78% recycled trace elements of industrial lubricant and sanctified incense. Acceptable. My uniform is folded on the slab's single stool, a black body glove, worn and patched, but functional. I pull it on. The fabric is coarse, infused with conductive wiring that will interface with the carapace. Sustenance is next. I stand before the dispenser. The red rune glows, and a thick gray paste extrudes into a small bowl. Ration 7 gamma, proteins, carbohydrates, stimulants, and calming agents in a semi-solid suspension. It has no taste. Taste is a sensory indulgence, an inefficiency. As I consume the ration, my lips moving in the practiced mechanical motion of chewing, my mind begins the morning litany. Lex Imperialis, Edict 1, Paragraph 1. The Emperor's law is the only law. All other laws are secondary. All other authorities are temporary. The paste coats my tongue, a gritty synthetic film. I swallow. Codex Arbites, Commandment of Justice 4. Mercy is a failure of vigilance. Pity is a failure of will. Compassion is a failure of duty. I finish the ration. The bowl is returned to the sterilizer slot. The process, from waking to this moment, has taken exactly 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It is efficient. I proceed from the cell. The corridor is identical to the one above it and the one below it. A gray, featureless tube lit by harsh white light strips. The air hums. The only sound is the soft slap of my bare feet on the deck. Others are emerging from their cells, identical men in identical body gloves. No one speaks. We do not use names. Names are an attachment. We are designations. Functions. We are components in the great machine of the law. The arming chamber is vast, cold, and silent save for the low thrum of power conduits. The air smells of ozone and consecrated machine oil. Along the walls, hundreds of alcoves stand open like empty tombs. Each contains a suit of carapace armor, mounted on an automated armature. I stop before mine. Alcove 97, Viridian Squad, Section Gamma. The armor is black, matte, scuffed from 1,000 patrols, but impeccably maintained. The aquila on the chest plate is polished to a dull gleam. This is not armor. This is my skin. This is the vessel of my purpose. The ritual begins. I step onto the platform. The machine whirs to life. First, the leg greaves. Heavy plates of plasteel and ceramite that lock around my calves and thighs. The weight is immense, a familiar anchor. Then the armored boots. They clamp onto my feet, magnetic soles locking with a heavy, final clunk. I can feel the grav coils within them, ready to compensate for the crushing mass. The torso section is next. 2 halves of a thick shell that enclose my chest and back. The armature presses them against me, and I feel the connection ports in my body glove link with the armor's power core. A cold sensation spreads through me as the suit's systems interface with my nervous system. I hear a low hum, the sound of the micro-reactors coming to life. The weight on my shoulders increases tenfold. Book of Judgment Precedent 77 Alpha. An arbitrator's armor is his first and last sanctuary. It is the barrier between the order of the law and the chaos of the flesh. The armored gauntlets are fitted, articulated fingers locking around my own. I flex my hands. The movement is slow, powerful. I could crush a man's skull with this grip. The thought is neither satisfying nor repulsive. It is simply a statement of fact. Finally, the helmet. The armature lowers it over my head. For a moment there is darkness and the sound of my own breathing. Then the neck seal hisses and locks into place with a pneumatic sigh. The world returns, but it is a new world. It is a screen of green light. Data scrolls in the periphery of my vision. Atmospheric analysis, my own biometric readings, a tactical map of the precinct. The sounds of the arming chamber are gone, replaced by the faint, filtered crackle of the squad vox bead in my ear. I am sealed. I am separate. I am complete. The armature retracts. I take a step forward. My boot strikes the ferrocrete deck with a heavy, amplified thump. I am now an engine of the law. 2 meters of black-clad judgment. I turn to the weapon locker. My shock maul is secured to my hip, its power cell glowing a soft blue. My combat shotgun is locked into the magnetic clamp on my back. I check its load. 6 rounds of solid slug ammunition. Standard dispersal for urban pacification. I am ready. My purpose is clear. I turn and walk towards the muster bay. My steps are heavy, rhythmic. Other footsteps join mine, falling into perfect, synchronized time. Thump, thump, thump. A line of identical, faceless figures. Our helmeted heads facing forward. We are no longer men. We are the law, and we are about to go on patrol. The muster bay is a cavern of gray steel and yellow warning chevrons. Squad Viridian stands in 2 perfect lines of 5. 10 black-clad monoliths, identical and silent. Our squad proctor, Viridian Prime, stands before us. His helmet is distinguished by a single vertical red stripe. He does not speak. He does not need to. His inspection is a slow, deliberate walk down the line. His optical sensors scanning every seal, every power conduit, every weapon lock on our armor. The process is silent. We are all components. A single faulty component can compromise the integrity of the machine. The proctor halts. He turns to face the massive 100-ton blast door that leads to the vehicle depot. The door groans, a sound of immense, tortured metal, as it grinds upwards into the ceiling, revealing the depot beyond. The air changes. The sterile, recycled atmosphere of the precinct is invaded by the smell of promethium fumes and hot metal. Our transport is waiting, a rhino chassis designated Repressor. Its armor is a slab of black plasteel, scarred and pitted from 1,000 pacification actions. The Arbites crest is emblazoned on its sides in stark white. It is not a transport. It is a mobile bunker. A battering ram, an instrument of enforcement. Its storm bolter is silent, its grenade launchers loaded with stun shells. The side hatches hiss open. We embark. The 10 of us fill the small compartment. Our armored forms packed shoulder to shoulder on the hard metal benches. There is no comfort. There is only function. The hatch seals with a pneumatic finality. We are plunged into a dim, red-lit darkness. The only light comes from the glowing runes on our helmet displays. The engine roars to life. A deep, guttural vibration that I feel in the very core of my being. The vehicle lurches forward, its treads grinding against the deck. We are moving. We are leaving the sanctuary of the law and entering the chaos of the world. Codex Arbites. Commandment of patrol fee. A patrol is an island of order in a sea of chaos. The barrier must never be breached. My helmet display is a stream of data. The squad's biometric readings are displayed in a column on the left. All heart rates are low, resting. All respiration is steady. All systems are green. On the right, a tactical map shows our progress through the precinct's subterranean levels. Our vehicle, a single green icon moving along a predetermined path. The route is randomized daily. Predictability is a fatal flaw. The repressor ascends a steep ramp. There is a change in pressure, a lurch as we breach the surface. The Vox crackles. Gate passage confirmed. A flat synthesized voice announces from Precinct Control. Patrol Viridian is now active. Sector Primus Geist. Standard sweep protocol. Good hunting. The phrase is a formality, a relic of some ancient, forgotten tradition. We do not hunt. We enforce. The external world begins to filter into my sealed environment. Not the smells or the sounds, but the data. My helmet's external sensors are constantly analyzing, categorizing. Atmospheric particulates, 45% industrial pollutants, 22% human effluvia, 12% airborne fungal spores, 21% miscellaneous toxins. Radiation levels, nominal for this sector. Ambient noise level, 110 decibels. A constant deafening roar of machinery, voices, and suffering. My audio dampeners filter it down to a manageable hum. My display highlights potential threats automatically. A figure in the crowd with a suspiciously bulky coat is outlined in yellow. Threat analysis. Possible concealed weapon. A group of gangers, their faces covered in ritual scars, are tagged with red icons. Threat analysis. Known recidivist elements. High probability of narcotic trafficking and violent crime. A preacher, standing on a crate and screaming verses from some unsanctioned text, is flagged in orange. Threat analysis. Potential seditionist, monitor for heretical rhetoric. The street is a sea of threats, a chaotic equation of potential lawlessness. I do not feel anger or fear. I simply observe, I categorize, I file. The repressor plows through the crowd. It does not slow, it does not swerve. The masses part before it, a wave of ragged flesh breaking against our iron prow. Their faces are a blur of gaunt features, hungry eyes, and open-mouthed curses that are silenced by our armored hull. They are a constant pressing weight against the vehicle. My impact sensors register dozens of minor collisions as bodies are shoved against the plasteel. The incidents are ignored. They are statistically insignificant. Our patrol route takes us deeper into the sector. The hab blocks become more decrepit. The crowds more desperate. The data stream from my helmet becomes a torrent of alerts. Every alleyway is a potential ambush point. Every rooftop is a potential sniper's nest. I am running constant probability calculations. The chance of violent engagement in this sector on any given cycle is 78.4%. The chance of our patrol being the target of that violence is 42.1%. The odds are acceptable. We pass a food dispensary. Thousands are queued, a writhing mass of bodies fighting for a ration of nutrient paste. The local enforcers, a pathetic-looking group in flak armor and riot helmets, are trying to maintain a line, their shock mauls cracking against limbs and heads. It is a losing battle. The sheer pressure of the hungry is too great. A riot is imminent. Our orders are to observe, not to intervene unless Imperial Law is directly violated. The starvation of the masses is a matter for the Administratum, not for us. We are concerned with the law, not with lives. The repressor continues its slow, inexorable crawl through the filth and the despair. The inside of this metal box is a world away from the outside. In here there is silence, order, and purpose. Out there is only noise, chaos, and need. We are the barrier between the two. We are the wall, and the pressure on that wall is constant, and it is immense. I can feel it, even through a meter of plasteel. It is the pressure of 1 billion broken lives, pressing in, testing for a weakness. My grip tightens on the safety of my shotgun. We will not be found weak. The vehicle halts. The grinding of the treads ceases, but the engine's vibration continues. A low growl felt through the deck plates. A red rune flashes on my display. Destination reached. Waypoint Gamma 7, Justicar Plaza. A designation of convenience. There is no plaza. There is only a slightly wider section of the street, choked with market stalls and the effluvia of the masses. A green icon flashes in my ear. A nonverbal command from Viridian Prime. Disembark. Standard cordon protocol. The rear assault ramp slams down with a deafening crash of metal on ferrocrete. The red interior light is extinguished, and the gray, polluted light of the hive floods the compartment. We move, not as men, but as a single 10-headed organism. I am the third on the left. My combat shotgun is held in a low ready position, my finger resting on the guard. My boots hit the street, the impact absorbed by the grav coils. We form a perfect semicircle around the ramp's exit. 10 black shields, 10 impassive helmets, 10 loaded weapons, an instant fortress of the law. The effect on the crowd is immediate and predictable. The constant roaring din of the street falters. A wave of silence radiates outwards from our position. A ripple of pure primal fear. Those closest to us flinch back, their eyes wide. Further away, the shouting and haggling dies down into hushed, panicked whispers. All activity ceases. All eyes are on us. My optical sensors scan the faces. I see hatred. I see terror. I see a deep, sullen resentment. I do not see innocence. Innocence is a myth, a statistical anomaly. My helmet display is already processing the scene. The target is 15.7 meters from my position. It is the preacher I tagged earlier. He stands on a makeshift pulpit of stacked ration crates. His robes little more than rags, his face a mask of zealous fury. His voice is raw, amplified by a cheap, stolen Voxhaler that screeches with feedback. The crowd before him numbers in the low hundreds, their attention now torn between his words and our sudden, monolithic presence. My audio sensors isolate the preacher's speech, filtering out the background noise and transcribing his words onto my display. And the procurator eats synth grox while you starve on nutrient paste. The administratum hoards grain while your children waste away. They demand your tithe, they demand your loyalty, but what do they give you in return? Misery, despair. This is not the Emperor's justice. This is the justice of fat, greedy men. A yellow flag appears next to the transcription. Analysis, seditious rhetoric, level 3. Incitement to riot. Violation of Codex Imperialis. Section 77, paragraph 12. Questioning the authority of appointed Imperial officials. The crowd is stirring. His words resonate with their empty bellies and their hopeless lives. This is how it starts. A single voice, planting a single seed of doubt. If left unchecked, it grows into a riot. A riot becomes an insurrection. An insurrection becomes a rebellion. A rebellion requires a full planetary pacification and the extermination of billions. The cost-benefit analysis is simple. The life of this one man is statistically worthless when weighed against the potential cost of his continued existence. A red flag replaces the yellow one on my display. Violation of Codex Arbites, Commandment of Compliance 9. To defy the word of an arbitrator is to defy the law. To defy the law is death. A single sharp icon flashes in my ear. The order from Viridian Prime. Subdue. Apprehend. Sanction on sight. We move. There is no shout, no charge. We advance at a steady, inexorable pace. A wall of black carapace closing in. The crowd before us dissolves, scrambling over each other to get away. They know what is coming. The preacher's face for the first time shows not fury, but fear. He has mistaken our silence for hesitation. He turns to run, scrambling off his crate pulpit. He is too slow. I am designated point 2 for apprehension. My partner, Viridian 96, is point 1. We break from the main line, our stride lengthening. We do not run. We are faster than a man can run. Our armor compensates. Our legs pump like pistons. The distance closes in seconds. The preacher stumbles, falling to his knees. Viridian 96 is on him first, the stock of his shotgun slamming down on the man's shoulder, forcing him flat against the grimy street. The Voxhaler clatters away. The man screams, a thin, pathetic sound. My function is to secure the prisoner and pacify the immediate area. I unholster my shock maul. The power cell hums to life, the head of the weapon crackling with a nimbus of blue, disruptive energy. Two gangers, emboldened by the preacher's rhetoric or their own stupidity, have not fled. They draw crude, rusted blades, their faces twisted in a snarl of defiance. Threat analysis, level 2 recidivists. Pacification required. I do not break my stride. The first ganger lurches, his knife held in a low, clumsy grip. I do not parry. I do not block. I allow my armor to absorb the blow. The blade scrapes uselessly against my chest plate with a screech of tortured metal. The force of the impact registers on my display as a minor kinetic event. I bring the shock maul around in a smooth, efficient arc. It connects with the side of his helmetless head. There is a loud, wet crack. The crackle of the energy discharge is deafening. The man's body convulses violently, his limbs locking, his eyes rolling back into his head. He collapses, smoke rising from his singed hair. He is unconscious. He may be dead. The distinction is legally irrelevant. The second ganger hesitates. He has witnessed the consequence of his actions. His defiance evaporates, replaced by stark terror. He turns to flee. I do not pursue. My function is complete. The threat is neutralized. I turn back to the preacher. Viridian 96 has the man's arms pinned behind his back. I apply the head of the shock maul to the man's spine, the power level set to non-lethal. He screams as the energy courses through him, then goes limp. Viridian 96 snaps a pair of heavy magnetic cuffs onto his wrists. The perpetrator is secure. The entire event, from the order to subdue to the securing of the prisoner, has taken 9 seconds. It was efficient. It was just. We reform our line, Viridian 96, and I dragging the unconscious preacher between us. The street is silent, save for the moaning of the ganger I struck. The crowd watches us from the shadows, their faces pale. The message has been delivered. The law does not debate. The law does not negotiate. The law simply is. And we are its fist. The prisoner is secured. He is designated detainee 4 Gamma. He lies unconscious in the transport bay, his fate already sealed by his own foolish words. His file has been opened, his infractions logged, and his sentence, 10 cycles of hard labor in the orbital penitentiary followed by conscription into a penal legion, has been determined by the proctor and transmitted back to the precinct's scriptorium. The process is complete. He no longer matters. We are en route to our next checkpoint when a sharp tritone chime echoes in my ear. A priority update from precinct control. A crimson rune flashes on my display, overriding the standard patrol map. New coordinates, new objective. All units, Squad Viridian, the synthesized voice of control states, devoid of inflection. Rerouting to Hab Block Tertius, Sub-Level 9, Corridor Epsilon 44. Reports of unsanctioned modification of Administratum-grade power conduits. Local enforcers have been denied access. Investigate and enforce. Acknowledge. Proctor Viridian Prime's voice clicks in my ear. Viridian Prime acknowledges. En route. This is an anomaly. Power theft is a trivial matter, the purview of local enforcers. For them to be denied access suggests the perpetrator is armed or barricaded. For the matter to be escalated to us is unusual. The Lex Imperialis is clear. All infrastructure relating to Manufactorum power grids is vital to the Imperial tithe, and its disruption is therefore a federal offense. But it is rare for a single domestic-level incident to warrant our direct intervention. The repressor changes course, its treads grinding as it turns into a narrower access way. After several minutes, it can go no further. The Hab Block's arteries are too tight, too clogged for a vehicle of its size. The order is given. We disembark. The air in this corridor is different, thicker, wetter. The ever-present gray smog is replaced by a near-total darkness, broken only by the flickering, unreliable glow of failing lumen strips. The walls weep a slimy black moisture, and the air is a suffocating blanket of recycled atmosphere, unsanctified cooking fumes, and the overwhelming stench of too many humans packed into too little space. I switch my visor to low-light thermal. The world becomes a ghostly landscape of heat signatures. The walls are cold, but the air is thick with the faint, drifting heat of countless bodies behind the thin, plasteel walls. We move in a staggered file formation. The corridor is a cacophony of sound, even through my audio dampeners. 1,000 different arguments in a dozen dialects. The wailing of infants. The screech of worn-out machinery. The relentless thumping beat of some unsanctioned primitive music. Doors are sealed. Viewing slits are slammed shut as we pass. Figures dart into alleyways. Our presence here is a violation. A shark moving through a school of terrified fish. We are an omen of a terrible, impartial doom. We reach Corridor Epsilon 44. The designation is a cruel joke. It is not a corridor. It is a wound. A tight, claustrophobic passage between towering walls of habitation units, their doors like countless weeping sores. We halt at our destination, Hab Unit 4417. The door is sealed, a slab of rusted metal. Faint heat signatures are visible through the thin plasteel. 4 of them, 2 adult, 2 juvenile. Report, the Proctor's voice commands on the Vox. Heat signatures indicate 4 individuals. I respond, my voice a flat monotone. 2 adult, 2 juvenile. No significant energy readings to indicate heavy weaponry. Door is magnetically sealed from within. Viridian 96, Viridian 97. Breach, the Proctor orders. We move to the door. I retrieve a breaching charge from my utility pouch. A shaped melta charge, the size of my fist. I place it over the magnetic lock. The charge adheres with a soft click. I arm it and step back. The Proctor gives a nod. I press the detonator. The explosion is not loud, but sharp and contained. A flash of intense, white-hot light, and a perfectly circular hole of molten, glowing metal appears where the lock used to be. The door groans and swings inward. We enter. The room is small. A single squalid space. The air is thick with the smell of malnutrition and despair. In the center of the room, a man and a woman huddle together, shielding 2 small children behind them. They are thin, their faces gaunt, their eyes wide with a terror so absolute it has gone past screaming and into a state of silent, paralyzed shock. My biometric scanner flags all 4 for extreme malnutrition and elevated cortisol levels. My optical sensors immediately identify the crime. In the corner of the room, a thick armored power conduit has been crudely breached. A jury-rigged cable, its insulation frayed, runs from the conduit to a small ancient heating unit that glows a faint, pathetic red. The man is the primary perpetrator. He is a factorum worker, his guild tattoos faded on his wiry arms. The woman is his mate. The juveniles are their offspring. I scan the man. No weapons. No history of violent crime. He is a non-entity, a statistic. And yet, he has broken the law. Proctor Viridian Prime steps into the center of the room, his massive form filling the small space. He does not look at the woman or the children. His helmet is oriented directly at the man. He consults the data slate on his wrist, its green light illuminating the grime on his gauntlet. You are designated Subject 881G Heist, the Proctor's amplified voice states. The man flinches at the sound. You have been found guilty of the unsanctioned appropriation of administratum-regulated power resources. The penalty is predetermined. The man finds his voice. It is a weak, trembling whisper. Please, my work chits were cut. The children, they were so cold. The Proctor does not respond to the plea. It is irrelevant data. The Codex Arbites, Section 451, Paragraph 3 states, any disruption to state-sanctioned resource allocation, regardless of intent, is an act of sedition against the economic stability of the Imperium. The sentence is absolute. 10 cycles of service in the Stygian penal mines. The woman lets out a choked, agonized sob. The children begin to wail, their high-pitched cries a meaningless spike on my audio display. The man simply stares, his face a mask of utter, complete desolation. He has not just been sentenced, he has been erased. Secure the prisoner, the Proctor commands. I step forward, my shock maul held at a low ready. The man does not resist. He seems to have collapsed inward on himself. He offers his hands. I snap the mag cuffs on his wrists. The deed is done. The law is upheld. As I lead the man away, I turn my head. My visor's thermal sensors register the heat signatures of the woman and the two juveniles huddled together. They are a cluster of fading warmth in a cold, dark room. Their fate is not my concern. They are now orphans of the state, a matter for the Scola Progenium or the corpse starch processors. They are extraneous data. I feel nothing. My duty is to the law. The law is absolute. The law is just. I repeat the words in my mind. The machine of my purpose continues to function. There is no room for anything else.
We return to the public proclamation, the Shield of the Law. It tells us a story of selfless guardians, of paragons of true virtue, forged in the Scola Progenium. It speaks of a sacred duty to protect the Imperium from the howling abyss of anarchy. It commands the common citizen to feel not fear, but gratitude for the Arbitrator's sacrifice. It is a narrative of noble purpose, of righteous necessity. It is in every meaningful sense a lie. Not a lie of fact. The Arbites do indeed enforce the law, but a profound lie of purpose. What we have witnessed through the senses of Arbitrator Viridian 9-7 is not the noble application of justice. It is the relentless, mechanical function of a system for which human lives are an irrelevant, extraneous variable. The official record speaks of order. The lived reality is the brutal, impersonal suppression of any deviation from a rigidly defined norm, whether it is a man speaking inconvenient truths or a father stealing a flicker of warmth for his freezing children. The propaganda speaks of protecting civilization. The reality is the violent enforcement of a status quo that often perpetuates the very misery and despair that breeds dissent. The divergence between these two narratives is not an accident, nor is it a simple hypocrisy. It is the single most critical tool of imperial control. The Imperium of man is far too vast, its population too numerous, to be ruled by the shark maul and the combat shotgun alone. It must be ruled by an idea of a holy, unassailable order, an idea of a just and righteous law, handed down from the God Emperor himself. The Adeptus Arbites, as presented in the propaganda, are the living symbol of that idea. They are the myth made manifest. This myth serves a dual purpose. For the huddled masses, the image of the noble, incorruptible Arbitrator is a source of terror, yes, but also of a strange, grim reassurance. It tells them that while their lives may be squalid and brief, there is at least a structure. There is a wall, however brutal, holding back a tide of something even worse. It is the promise that the horrors of old night, of anarchy and alien domination, will never return. More importantly, the myth serves the Arbitrator himself. Consider the psychological burden of Viridian 97's existence. His daily reality is one of witnessing the absolute worst of humanity. He is immersed in filth, violence, and despair. His duty requires him to perform acts of extreme brutality, to destroy lives and shatter families over infractions that, in any rational system, would be minor. To perform this function without succumbing to madness or nihilistic despair requires an act of profound psychological self-deception. The Arbitrator must believe he is more than just a thug in better armor. He must believe he is a holy instrument, a sanctified component in a divine machine. The monastic lifestyle, the constant recitation of legal text, the ritualistic donning of his armor, these are not merely matters of discipline. They are the psychological scaffolding that holds his sanity together. He has been systemically stripped of his name, his family, and his identity, and had them replaced with the Codex and the gun. The propaganda is the air he breathes. It is the operating system for the weapon he has become. He's not a man enforcing the law. He is the law, inhabiting the shell of a man. The cold analytical detachment, the reduction of human beings to data points and threat analysis, is a necessary survival mechanism. He cannot afford to see the starving family. He can only see the infraction, the violation of Section 451, Paragraph 3. To see the family would be to feel pity. And the Codex is clear. Pity is a failure of will. In the unforgiving calculus of the Arbites, a failure of will is a crime, and the only punishment is death. Thus the official record and the lived grimdark are not opposites. They are inextricably linked. The noble, impossible myth of the righteous guardian is the very thing that allows the brutal, soul-crushing reality of the jackbooted enforcer to exist.
The cycle ends. Time, 1600. Standard. The repressor is docked. The prisoners have been delivered to the dungeons. Their designations logged. Their sentences already in motion. They are no longer my concern. My patrol is complete. I stand in the arming chamber, back in Alcove 97. The automated armature is working in reverse, its cold metal claws methodically stripping the carapace from my body. The helmet is lifted away, and the world rushes back in. The unfiltered air of the precinct, the unfiltered sounds. It is a jarring, unpleasant transition, a moment of vulnerability. The gauntlets are removed, the torso plate, the greaves. With each piece, the immense weight is lifted, and I feel unnervingly light, untethered. My body glove is slick with sweat. My muscles ache from the strain of the armor. I am returned to the state of a man. It is a state of weakness. Later, in my cell, I complete my final duty, the patrol log. I sit on the stool, a data slate in my lap. My fingers move over the glowing runes, compiling the report. My entry is precise, clinical, and devoid of embellishment. Cycle date, 734.M41. Patrol, Viridian Squad, Sector Primus Geist. Incidents, 2. Incident 1. Illegal gathering. Incitement to riot. Defiance of a lawful order. Perpetrator 4 Gamma apprehended. Associated recidivists neutralized. Sentence logged. Incident 2. Unsanctioned modification of administratum infrastructure. Perpetrator 881G heist apprehended. Sentence logged. Ammunition expended, 0. Damage to equipment, minor superficial abrasions to chest plate, subject Viridian 97, non-critical. Patrol duration 12 hours, standard. Conclusion. All objectives met. The law was upheld. I read the entry one last time. It is an accurate summary of the day's events. The screams of the preacher, the weeping of the woman, the wails of the children. These are not relevant data points for a patrol log. They are inefficiencies. Emotional noise. They have no place in the calculus of the law. I submit the log. The data slate screen goes dark. For a moment, I see my own reflection in its black surface. The face is pale. The eyes are tired. It is the face of a stranger, a ghost in the machine. The chronometer will sound again in 8 hours. A new cycle will begin. The law is eternal. My service is not. But until it is over, I will function. That is my purpose. That is all.
We began this report with a question. What is the psychological price of being the living embodiment of the Emperor's unforgiving law? The answer is simple. The price is everything. It is the complete and total erasure of the self. To become an arbitrator is not to take on a new duty. It is to undergo an amputation of the soul. The man is scoured away, and the hollowed-out vessel is filled with the cold, hard text of the Codex. Hope, fear, love, hate, and above all, mercy, are excised like malignant tumors. Arbitrator Viridian 97 is not cruel. He is not evil. He is, in many ways, a tragic figure. He is a man who has been systemically dehumanized, turned into a biological cog in a vast, uncaring legal machine. His cold, analytical thoughts are not his own. They are the ingrained logic of a system that requires him to be less than human in order to function. He has paid the price of the law, not with his life, but with his humanity. And he will continue to pay it every single cycle until the day he dies. In the end, the Adeptus Arbites are not the shield of the Imperium. They are its perfect mirror. They reflect the truth of the regime they serve, a monolithic, paranoid, and brutal system, born from a history of unimaginable trauma that must sacrifice the souls of its own guardians to enforce a semblance of order upon a galaxy that has none. The Arbites are the embodiment of the Imperium's foundational bargain, that in the quest for humanity's survival, humanity itself is an acceptable price to pay. The true price of the law is not the punishment inflicted upon the guilty, but the humanity stripped from the judges who must deliver the sentence. My report is concluded. The full dossier will be sealed under penalty of heresy. You may append your own approved commentary to the record below. The Ordo Chronos is ever watchful.